4, 5, 6, 7.
We're good.
All right. There's Ben. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome. This is the monthly meeting of the Normal Heights Community Planning Group. I'm going to call it to order. I'm Alan Harjula. I am the vice chair. I'm filling in tonight for Paul Coogan, who is unable to be with us tonight. So this is where we discuss land use and land use related issues in Normal Heights. So this machine in front of me, if you're not aware, it's called an OWL. It broadcasts video and audio to our attendees who are attending remotely through Zoom. We have a few of them tonight. And so it's also recording this meeting. So the meeting is being recorded. So make sure you're aware of that. For those attending remotely, please note that we do not monitor the chat during the meeting, and the chat is not considered official communications of the group or part of the meeting. If you would like to record your attendance, you may do so by putting your name and email in the chat, and you'll be able to record it later. But the chat, if you use it, we do not monitor it, so we don't answer questions from the chat. We just don't have enough. We don't have enough hands to handle that. During the meeting, if you'd like to ask a question or be heard, please raise your hand. In Zoom, you can raise your hand using the reactions. I think it's called reactions. Yep. The reactions in your menu at the bottom of the screen. If you can't see it, you can move your cursor, kind of hover, or you can just start waving your hand crazy and hopefully I'll see it. And for those of us who are here in attendance tonight, just want to be heard or have a question, please just raise your hand and we'll get to everybody in order. So without further ado, I think let's move forward into the agenda. So introduction of board members. Let's just start right there and work our way around the table.
Scott Kessler, Adams Avenue Business Association.
Member Ross, homeowner resident.
Alan Harjula, vice chair for the evening.
Taylor Airwich, resident.
Emily Caldwell, resident.
Nancy Waller, resident. Francis Patrick, resident.
Great, thanks. The agenda, if you haven't seen it, there's copies by the door. There's also a sign-in sheet. If you'd like your attendance here tonight to be recorded, feel free to sign in. You don't have to, but please, you're welcome to. Any changes to the agenda? No changes to the agenda. Moving on. Approval of previous meeting minutes. Did we get the minutes?
Yeah, they were in the email.
We got the, okay.
829, attached to the draft for the agenda, and I think there was another one that was.
I don't think I got them. I was looking in my email earlier too. So we will work on that and get them for the next meeting to approve. Treasurer's report, Francis.
No change. We still have a balance of $1,332.46.
Thank you. All right, so we are 10 minutes ahead. This is looking good. We're up to non-agenda public comment. And so we'll start here tonight. So does anybody that's live want to speak? Feel free to introduce yourself. You get 2 minutes.
Should I just come here?
But right there, it'll turn to you. It's the camera moves.
Okay, all right, so I'm gonna stay here. Good evening, everyone. My name is Larry Carr, and I'm a native San Diegan. I have lived in University Heights just down the road for about 40 years, and I'm a registered professional engineer with the state of California. Why am I here? I'm representing Power San Diego. We are proposing to form a nonprofit electric utility company here in San Diego, in the city of San Diego, to replace SDG&E. Why? Because of SDG&E. As most of you probably know, we have the highest electric utility rates in the country. We're probably 3 times the national average. Here in California, we're a good 50% above the rest of the state. And then as far as satisfaction goes, SDG&E consistently is near the bottom in the Western US. I think they beat out maybe Pacific Gas and Electric. So if any of you have dealt with them, you know what I'm talking about there. any case, so I'm here today as a fellow San Diegan, a ratepayer, and a concerned citizen, basically. Our group is grassroots citizens of San Diego, and we want to take charge of our energy future by replacing San Diego Gas and Electric. And how would we do that? Well, we're proposing a ballot measure for next year, November, for San Diegans to vote on it. And the details, of course, are in the ballot measure that is being currently drafted. Public nonprofit utilities are not a new idea. They are throughout the country, even here in California, locally, Imperial Irrigation District, LA Water and Power up in Sacramento are just a couple of examples. They are have a pretty good reputation for reliability, low rates, and customer satisfaction. So we think we can really do a much better job. How can we reduce utility rates? First off, there won't be billion-dollar profits. SDG&E pulled in about $1 billion last year. Their CEO made a paltry $3 million, so we wouldn't be subject to those things. And also, we would encourage local rooftop solar and local energy grid, which again then wouldn't be subject to the high transmission costs. For example, Sun Desert, where they have their solar power and then they transmit it in real quick. 80% of our energy cost is in the transmission. With rooftop solar, there's none of that. There's no transmission costs other than a few feet from your panel down to your whatever you need. So, and that's why it's pretty clear San Diego Gas and Electric does not like rooftop solar, and they're doing everything they can to stop it. Any case, we have flyers here for you for some general information. The website actually has more details. If you're interested, I'd be happy to come back or another representative from our group to give a detailed 15-minute agenda presentation if you're interested. And that'll do it. So here,
anybody who's online, if they're interested in more information, what is the website?
It's called wearepowersandiego.com, and it's on the flyers here if you're interested.
Okay, great. Go ahead and put it by the door there.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, what was the name of the company?
Oh, it's called Power San Diego. And again, on the flyer, if you're interested, it has all that information there so you can see.
Thanks. Anybody else would like to speak that's here tonight?
So smooth.
It is. All right, anybody online? Anybody online would like to speak for public comment? Going once, going twice? Sold. All right, we are moving on to digital communications monitoring from Nextdoor, Facebook, email, etc. Has anybody seen anything in the social media world that they want to share?
A lot of stuff about street fair on the Business Association's website,
Street Fair on Business Association's website.
on our social media site.
Okay. Anything else? I keep seeing, I don't use social media that much, but when I do, I keep seeing people looking for housing they can afford. That's the one thing that I keep seeing over and over again. People losing their homes and trying to find something that, you know, I need to find a 2-bedroom apartment for $1,700 a month.
I just read on social media that the Winslow at Park and Alcone Boulevard, their 2 bedrooms are going for $5,700.
I thought it was like 44.
Well, I think there's a range, but the high ones are 50.
They got
1,100 in 7,000 square feet, it's a little more.
All right, moving on. We're up to the action decision items. We don't have that many of these tonight. The first one, well, Scott, did you want to talk about the streetlights?
Yeah, I had just reported to Paul about our effort to get 31 streetlights repaired on Adams, but we have that totally under control. The city has responded beautifully. For the last couple of years, since there's been a shortage of street electricians, we raised the street fair unplugged as a reason to come out and fix our street lights. It's worked for a couple of years. So There were 9 electricians out here Saturday working on the weekend. There's 3 or 4 crews out. There's 31 lights at SDG&E today trenching to repair some underground circuits. So we don't need a letter or anything. It's working perfectly.
Right?
Right?
Yes,
Are you entertaining questions?
sure.
Hey, which streetlights, the Acorn or the Sodium?
The Acorn are the old black antique looking lights, Acorn lights, and then there's the Cobras, the intersection lights. So 31 is a total of I think there's 22 Cobras and 22 Acorns and 9 Cobras. The Cobras at the intersection, like 33rd Street, 3 out of 4 are out, and so on and so forth.
My question is, both of them together? Because my understanding is that the Acorns were an assessment district on the Business Association. Has that changed?
That is correct. No, all the Acorns are paid, the energy charge is paid for from the commercial property owners. And not the lights that are not the Cobra lights at the intersections. Two of our intersections have 4 Cobra lights, most of them have 2 Cobra lights. Some have 1.
Just the Acorns now are city responsibility for maintenance?
Oh, they've always been city responsibility. The property owners pay an energy cost, and one of the reasons it's a priority for the city to fix it is that the Adams Avenue property owners are paying assessments, and the city's not keeping their part of the deal. We've had some lights out for 2 years, like the car wash, the north side, all 4 of those lights have been out for 2 years.
It was just my understanding that the business association paid to install those in addition to, for their quaint, historic value. And so I always thought that was theirs and that was their responsibility. And so my concern is the business association thought that was a good idea. Now all the residents are taking care of is that correct?
No, so the city has there are 58 maintenance assessment districts in the city. And all of them, the city repairs the streetlights. The property owners pay for the energy costs and the installation. So yes, the commercial property owners here didn't actually pay for it. We wrote grants, but that is the city's responsibility. We have something called a base level service agreement with the city, things that they're responsible for. If the lights get knocked out, the business association doesn't do that. The city comes and repairs that. We paint the poles. We do aesthetics, hang banners and stuff, but the main part of the working order of the electricity is the city's charge, responsibility.
Interesting.
Sorry?
Interesting.
Well, that's how it's always been, that's how it works. And the good thing is that the city responds because we're gonna have 100,000 people out here on Adams, so it's a safety concern. You want the street lit up. And it's good for the neighborhood because in between the street fair, which is only weekend, and every other day, everyone gets to walk around in a lit street. So it's good that we leverage our special events to get our lights repaired because the city has a 365-day wait on light repairs right now. So it's one of the.
If I'm gonna respond and save a lot of time, this is why I quit coming. I asked a simple question and you gave the answer and yet you're holding forth. I myself have my own opinion that I'm keeping to myself about that.
Well,
these meetings would be 15 minutes long if business was attended to.
Well, let's move on.
Good idea.
Let's move on. Okay. We're talking about the street fair. Let's see. I think Greg was taking care of the signups. So he's not here.
Maybe he's coming later.
Maybe he is.
Maybe he's gonna be at the 9 o'clock meeting. Which is not actually happening.
I can look at it.
Can you look it up?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we just want to make sure that we have everybody's, we've got the slots filled.
So let's see, right now there are 3 open time slots. That would be Saturday from 12 to 2, Sunday from 10 to 12, and Sunday from 12 to 2 are all open. we need people for those 3 time slots.
Is there anybody here who hasn't signed up?
I haven't signed.
I haven't, but I'm out of town.
I'm also.
You're also out of town?
We could FaceTime in or something.
Oh, yeah, we can just,
Bachelor
we can
party.
put up a little phone there and, yeah, that'll work. I think am I signed up for Saturday,
Yep,
2 to
2
4?
to 4.
Put me down from 12 to 2.
Okay, awesome. I'll just copy
Yeah.
that. Yep.
So
Yeah,
it's
so the
all-
only people signed up right now are Jim, Brian, Alan, Paul, and Nancy. So I think there's still a few other board members maybe we can tap in to get those Sunday slots filled.
Okay, so
But-
we need people for Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay. And I have no idea where the tent and like the table came from. Do you have those?
I have the canopy, I have a sign, I have some chairs, I don't have a table. We don't get a table with a room to bring along.
Oh, sure.
I don't think, last year, I don't know if we had a table.
Oh, here we
You
go.
know, we didn't have a table.
I arrived
You
in time.
just kind of have the,
Yeah, just in time. We're talking about signing up for this.
Figured you might be talking about
Yeah. So I volunteered for Saturday.
Yeah, we still have some open spaces. We can get that handled today or tomorrow. So our open spaces are, that we need people, are Saturday from 12 to 2 p.m.
I'll take it.
Well, you want to do it on
Yeah,
longer
I'll
shifts?
just do 2 in a row.
What, glutton for punishment? No, that's excellent. Sunday, 10 a.m. to noon.
Portland.
Okay, that's fine, that's all I need to say. Okay, and anyone able to do noon to 2 p.m. on Sunday? Okay, well, I'll fill in for at least one of those, and I'll send one last email if people haven't responded.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay. And introduce yourself.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm Greg Stone, tardy board member.
All right, so you're bringing a canopy?
I'm bringing the canopy, we have that aerial view, photograph of the area. And I have 2 chairs that belong to,
They've been donated.
yes.
Vicky already got a new chair to replace the ones from last year.
But I don't think, I have a couple of card tables that I could bring. But I don't know if we have another source of tables.
Scott, we're responsible for bringing the tables right now and stuff.
Great, so I will.
No, I'm saying to Scott, we are.
Oh, yes. I mean, you know, in an emergency, we have tables here, but
Yeah, that
Do
would be
do we need a table?
It's helpful. I'm sorry, I also have a box of the 3-fold flyers that has information about the community service groups in the area, including us.
we're gonna bring all these tables down to Smitty's, all the ones in here, you can have one of them, just you'd have to take responsibility for chasing it down.
Yeah, okay. Like, put it back there every night. Okay, I don't have a table, but if anyone is willing to volunteer that, or we can do, thank you for that.
Anything else on street fair?
No.
Nope. All right, great. So board mandatory training update. So I think from the last message I got from Paul, he'd gotten word that Paul, me, Jim, Taylor, Emily, and Nancy had completed it. And so anybody else who has not completed it, you need to complete it.
I've done it.
You've done it? Perfect. And
I also have.
and you've done it too. So it looks like we've got one person that still needs to do it. But the instructions are in the email that Paul sent. So. Yeah, I think so. All right. This is moving right along. So we're going to go to updates. First, I'm going to check online, make sure nobody has anything. Okay. Updates. Government folks. Do we have anybody from Parks and Rec? If nobody from Parks and Rec, we're going to move on to Mr. Ben Mendoza.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Ben Mendoza. I am the Digital Communications Manager for Council President Elo Rivera. I'm also the Community Representative for Normal Heights. So a few updates for you all. Council President is currently on paternity leave until October. His wife just had a baby a week and a half ago, so he is spending some time the month of September with bonding with his newborn, his first child. So he's super excited.
Congratulations.
Right, right. So we're still in the office though, so if you need anything, I'm just getting back from vacation, so I have a long list of things to do, but I am here for you if you need something. I've reached out to city staff to get an update on where the DeMille's Mars project is at currently. I know I've gotten a few inquiries on kind of where that's at. Just waiting to hear back from staff. I did not see anything on the Development Services website, so interested to hear if they have an update for us, and I will be sure to pass that along to you all once I do get that. Earlier this year, the Adams Community Rec Center group had reached out to our office about both the netting, fencing at the rec center field, and then also the out lights there. City staff were out there late last week to replace the fencing, so the stray balls would no longer, hopefully, unless really good shot, fly into the neighborhood. So that fencing got installed last week. I'm double checking on the lights in the rec center field. They were supposed to also, yes, great. So they also installed those. I was hoping that they would do both at the same time, so that's good to hear that happened. And then the last thing that I had for you all was we are starting our budget process again for next year's budgets, and we launched our community survey earlier today, actually. And if you all want to fill it out, I have some flyers for you all. And the timeline for this year's budget has not been approved yet by the independent budget analyst, but I do have last year's budget timeline in case you're interested in seeing kind of the process the city goes through for approving the budget. So typically it starts in September and then it goes all the way until June of next year. So very, very long and drawn out. This budget survey though closes on the 22nd, so that's a tight turnaround. And the reason it's 2 weeks is because the independent budget analyst, who is basically the accountant for the city council, has a request for those priorities be due on September 27th. So our policy folks basically spend the weekend going over all of the results from the survey that folks fill out, and then compile them, group them on themes. If they're similar themes, making sure that those are also included in the budget priority memo. All of the results from that survey are included in our memo once it is released to the independent budget analyst without folks' names. So you all will be able to see kind of who throughout District 9, or what throughout District 9 folks identified as priorities. So there's sliding scale in terms of what you want to rank, such as infrastructure, parks, all of those wonderful things. And then there's also open space for you to also write in your own ideas that you have. Some of the things that I've already flagged for our policy team, one of them being the flashing crosswalk that's currently unfunded at West Mountain View Drive and Adams. There are a few other projects like that that have come up the past few months since we've been in office, specifically for Normal Heights. But if there are other projects like that, that would be great to note those when you are filling out the survey. Or you can also shoot me an email with those and I can get those over to our policy team. Definitely spread the word on filling this out. It is open to District 9 residents only, so please keep that in mind. We want as many folks to fill it out as possible. I know last year we definitely saw an uptick in folks filling it out, so definitely spread the word. It'll be on social media. We'll also be translating into multiple languages as well. So be on the lookout for that. Once the independent budget analyst gets all the memos from all of the council offices, early October, they'll release a report basically going over all of the similar asks from all of the council offices. So if there is a specific park or if there's a specific program that, say, 4 out of the 9 offices want funded, that'll be noted in the IBA's report. And again, that is going to be released mid-October. So as soon as that's released, I'll be sure to share that with you all in one of these update meetings. And the reason that's important is the more council offices have agreement on what should be funded, the more likely it is that it will be funded. So wanted to note that for you all. And if you have any questions regarding the budget process, it is long, confusing, and trying to make it as digestible as possible. I'll have an updated budget timeline, so you'll be able to see all the dates, all the important dates that are happening next week. The budget review committee has to approve those dates before they can actually be released. But once those are, I'll be sure to share them with you. The most important date, though, is the deadline for the budget survey. I would keep that one in mind first. Friday, September 22nd is when it closes. So definitely get those in.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes.
And for those who are on Zoom, what's the website they can go to?
Yes. So the survey is at sdd9.info/survey. It should take them directly to the survey. You can also go to our homepage, our District 9 page, and it will be under the budget tab on our page.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question?
Go for it.
Did we ever figure out for that mid-block crossing if it was across West Mountain View or across Adams?
It was across Adams.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
gotcha.
yes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. Thank you.
Any other
I just want to know
questions?
how your vacation was.
Oh, it was good. It was complicated. I was supposed to go to Hawaii, and then the whole fires thing happened.
Follow-up question. The flashing lights across Adams, but when you said mid-block crossing, we don't mean an island.
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, that's just like, yeah, not at a stoplight intersection crossing, yeah.
Got it.
Is it somewhere with the Valero gas station?
I think at the Shell, is it the Shell?
Shell, whatever it is.
Yeah, the Shell and the bridge, that's right there.
Any other questions for Ben?
So, I know this isn't strictly, but I was talking to Stormwater, last month. And, kind of the thing that got me started coming to these meetings was the lack of street sweeping. And, apparently, once again, they're stopping the, no parking signs. You know, that, I don't know, years ago, if concerned citizens would put out no parking signs, that is a request not enforcing, that people could move, and I was told that they are stopping that. Is that, the fact? Or do you know anything?
I don't.
Basically, this is a leading question. It's pretty high density in Normal Heights, and I don't think the city is sweeping its streets. After well, first I have a unpaved alley assessment district that the heavy trash trucks with easement for the building apartments come and they dump dirt on my street, and it's like a dirt road. And I sweep about 5 sandbags full just in front of my house every year. And Stormwater said that, no, we're not doing that, we're just running down the middle of the street. Are they gonna stop the reduced schedule? I know they talked about increasing in some areas and decreasing in others, and I didn't think they could do much less.
I did hear about the increase, decrease, but I'll double check on that. The thing that I did want to, I can also look into whether they are issuing new signage for those streets. Because that was the first I'm hearing about that, that they aren't installing new street signs like that.
They seem pretty sure.
Yeah, I want to get it in writing to make sure it's pretty sure, unless you have it in writing.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Nothing, right? No, Frankie Gummy Towtow retired, and so I guess that would, I don't know, charming man.
Yeah, but yeah, I can look into that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
All right, anybody from the mayor's office? Mayor's office, going once, going twice. On to anybody from the county supervisor's office, if there is an office until November. All right, on to state senate office. Nobody from the state senate? How about somebody from the assembly? Looks like we might have somebody. Chris?
I'm here, yes. Hi, can you hear me all right?
We can.
Great. Good evening, Normal Heights. Christopher Grisfield, representative for Assembly Member Ward. I just wanted to share a couple of updates from our office. First off, last week, 5 of the Assembly members' bills passed the Senate Appropriations Committee and are on their way to the governor's desk. Just a quick rundown of these. These include AB 84, which is the property tax welfare exemption, AB 251, which is the vehicle weight safety study, AB 302, which is Automated Decision-Making Systems Inventory Act, AB 634, which is the Career Development and College Preparation Courses, and AB 671, Call Home Accessory Dwelling Units. I just went over, again, the name and the number, but more information on these bills are actually on our website, and if you have any questions on them, feel free to reach out. Really quick on budgeting funding for projects in the 78th Assembly District. For San Diego, beyond our share of statewide programs, we were able to also secure funding for the Fleet Science Center to support student learning and modernize its space for the next generation. We were also able to get funding for the San Diego River Park Foundation, and they're going to be able to break ground on a visitor center for our park space in Mission Valley. The Assembly member was also able to secure funding for the Padre Dam Municipal Water District in East County as part of their purification project. And also, we were able to continue support for the San Diego Regional Gun Violence Response Task Force, as well as the City of San Diego Fire Protection Funding and biodiversity support led by the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance. As pretty much it's an update for the general session right now, Assembly Member Ward is busy in Sacramento as we begin our final few weeks in the legislative calendar. The Assembly and Senate are going to continue session until September 14th. And any bill that is passed by then will head to the governor's desk. And he has until October 14th to either sign or veto the legislation. Any bill that does not pass before September 14th will either die or, depending on the bill, might be turned into a 2-year bill and might be looked at for next year. Once interim recess begins on September 15th, our office will be reviewing legislative proposals that have come throughout the year. If you submitted anything throughout the entire year, we're going to look at that to potentially turn them into bills that we would introduce in January at the start of the next legislative year. If you have any ideas that you'd like to submit and that you think would be good legislation, feel free to submit that idea on our website. If you go to AD 78 and under the do you have an bill idea, you can submit it. Again, starting September 15th, we're going to look at all the submissions. Also, our office is going to have a booth at the upcoming Adams Avenue Street Fair during the Sunday portion, which we're very excited about. Thank you to the AABA for that. The Assembly member will be there to hear from constituents, and I believe Council President Chanilo Rivera's office will be there during the Saturday portion. Ben can correct me, but feel free to stop by and say hi to us. To either the Assembly member will be there for a couple hours. If not, our staff will be there. If you have any questions, feel free to stop by. And yeah, if you have any questions on any policy, you need assistance with any state-related department, feel free to reach out, and thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much, Christopher.
Thanks.
All right, moving on. Chair report. Paul is not here. He has no chair report. Community group updates. Adams Avenue Business Association.
we're all about street fair this month, street fair, that's the one thing we're doing. So we are looking for volunteers, just like you're looking for volunteers to staff the booth. We're looking for volunteers to run the event, especially early morning setup, hours from 5:45 till 9:45. Getting the 300 vendors set up is organized chaos. So we like to have community people out there helping us do that. You just look like you know what you're doing and it works. You get a street fair t-shirt and a VIP pass to 4 beers in the beer garden if you do those 4-hour early morning hours. We pay people $20 an hour if anyone has the inclination to work all weekend with us as a block captain. So, and we've been putting the feelers out. We've got about 10, 12 new community people volunteer, so that's really good. This event used to be organized by the Community Association and Business Association equally. And then the Community Association kind of reformed over the years a couple of times and they kind of dropped out of the event. But most importantly, we have expanded the event 2 blocks this year. So we're running all the way down to 36 on the east side. We have our DJ stage down in Wilson next to Subway. Fern Street Circus has just been added in the 35th Street intersection. So we got the carnival right there and Fern Street Circus. So that's kind of our kids area. And we are selling booths. We're going to be sold out in about a week. It's the best booth sales we've ever done. We're going to be at about $180,000, and our highest was about $160,000. Last year we only did 140. Go ahead.
This year's a new thing. You guys are having a marijuana section or something? What is that?
It's called Cannabis Row. There's a coalition of marijuana groups. They rented the Adams Avenue Theater. So that's inside the theater. You have to pay $5 to get in, 21 and up only. And they all the things you want to learn about cannabis, I guess.
Just educational, right? It's not like a beer hall.
No, you can't smoke in there.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
Jesus said it was cool.
Yeah. They paid, they came in as a hefty spot. We averaged about $10,000 a year in sponsorship. This year we did almost 60,000, half from US Bank and half for the cannabis people. So they're going to be on 2 stages, their banners, and US Bank's on 4 other stages. So we'll see how it goes. It went through my board of directors, whether or not we wanted to do this, and people said, well, it's legal and it's 21 and up, just like beer garden. So we'll see.
That's cool.
Yeah. And we're putting up no smoking signs in the event venue, along with our no open alcohol beverage containers sign. So we still want to keep the event smoke free. Yes.
For volunteers, do you have like a form for people to fill out? Is there like
The process is you say you're interested, and then me or Julia call you and we assess you out.
so
and
just
see-
your email? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. See, like, do you want to serve beer? Do you want to help us in the morning? Yeah. Yeah.
I will. This is the time.
Great, yeah. Yeah, that'd be great, yeah.
What time's the morning shift again?
The morning shift, the vendors get here at 6, so and the event opens at 10. So the morning shift is 5:45 to 9:45, 4 hours. And we start in the dark. You get a street fair t-shirt. You might get a radio, but you'll be in a group of 3 or 4 people that have radios. And there's 500 people out there. It's crazy, just setting everything up. We start at midnight with the stages and all that stuff, but people get set up really by 9 o'clock. It's pretty amazing. But we have to, it's pretty labor intensive.
And I appreciate you doing it.
Yeah, I've been doing this since 1989, so.
Finally learning how.
Yes, we've gotten better at it over the years, but it was only 2 blocks long back then, and we sold a keg of beer. Now we sell like 100 kegs. We had, 1 stage with 3 bands, and our big attraction was a little toy train that ran down the street and lava rides, and we had about 20 vendors. And that was to celebrate the relighting of the Normal Heights sign. And it's now the fundraiser for the association that runs the organization all year round. So all of the businesses on the avenue pay $50, $60, $70 a year. That brings in $50,000 a year. The vendors that come in for that weekend give us this year $180,000 for a weekend of the privilege of doing business on AMS, and that runs our organization year round. It's pretty amazing, thing that we've developed.
Great.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Scott.
for your time.
All right. Anybody from the El Cajon Boulevard Business Improvement Association? Derek?
Not from the association, actually, I just hang out there sometimes and watch what goes on. We've had an interesting escapade in the last month or so. There have been a lot of components to building the Route 15 freeway over the years. There's some interesting things done, like the inline station, and there's some things that have not been done yet. And one of the things that there has been hanging around since the beginning was an art project. And I don't know where it came from. I don't know where this recent thing came from. It's been there forever. But somebody got funding, I think the City Heights Community Development Corporation. And one of those components was identifying and celebrating the neighborhoods that are attached to the freeway interchanges, the two covered freeway interchanges. And I noticed at a final meeting about a month ago that they have named the neighborhoods. They named us Cherokee Park. And I'm going to put up big signs or decorative signs on pillars. And they're carving in the names of the community. And that was because the people who were doing this at the time, things change and people, advocates change. And so people who were involved with the freeway in the 70s and the 80s weren't around after the turn of the century was done. But they got some resources to do the decorative art, and they named the pillars at the four corners of each of the two freeway decks after the sub-neighborhood names. And City Heights divided up into a bunch of sub-neighborhoods, like Sherhalta and all of those. And Normal Heights, we cut into 3 parts, but it never went anywhere. And Kensington didn't have any, and so when I looked at the graphics for this thing, it had Kensington as a community, and they called us Cherokee Park, because that's one of the names that came up years ago. I immediately suggested to them that we were actually Normal Heights, and we needed to be that, and we had a meeting over that, and they were convinced that that was true, and we are now Normal Heights, so that problem has been resolved. I've complained a lot. I've been trying to change the name of one of the City Heights communities, Ben's community. I figure I can't go down there and complain that they're messing with our name and suggest that I mess with theirs. Ben is with the corridor community, and that's a statistical area that we designed back in the 80s when we did one of the community plan updates. And I didn't feel it was my place to mess with that if they like that name. And I still think they could be Cherokee Park, and that would be attached to Cherokee Point. And it would be a lot more phonetic, I think. But I'm not gonna get involved in that. So we're gonna be Normal Heights, and there's gonna be artwork on those bridges. There are other projects still left, and so that's resolved. There's not gonna be a major problem. those bridge decks are designed to hold 2 stories of residential use, right? They ain't got a frame building, you can build on either side of the roads, Oklahoma Boulevard, University Avenue. Like the Ponte Vecchio, in Florence, Ponte Vecchio, is the Orno River. But we really humanize it, and we wide decks, or to make it feel like there wasn't a freeway there. You gotta admit, for a freeway interchange, it was semi-human. There's kiosks which have been built to lease for anyone that wants to do business. And then we're in our 20th year, I think, of not having any leasable activity in those because the process of getting there is formidable. There are evaluations at about 6 different levels. Mark Casab, who runs markets in City Heights, wanted to do that, probably still does. So there are things to be done to eventually make that even more human. We're gonna build on, everybody's yelling about density, but Normal Heights is yelling, down that corner, build density. We would like to see some substantial infill development there, mixed use probably, to its high end of the freeway stop. There's an eventual program in the Sandag shop to do the purple line, to go from Osai up to Kearney Mason, and be a serious rapid transit project. Right now, we have gone from the buses in the beginning, we got off of the freeway interchange, across the street and got back on to the inline stations. There's a future to be had over there, and it's our corner. And we're just going to hope as time goes by, that there's more enthusiasm than there is now about pushing some of that stuff along. It's supposed to be what a mid-city urban trail would connect that interchange all the way up to here at least, if not further. And these things are just, some of them people have forgotten about, some of them are, none of them are funded. But there's all kind of opportunity when there's 30 people at these meetings instead of not that there are now. So the artwork will happen sometime soon, I think. And we will have no lights identified down at one of the corners.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have one follow-up. Has there been any talk about those vacant lots on the northwest corner of the freeway? So they're north of El Cajon, and they've kind of been vacant on that cul-de-sac? Is that, Street? Yeah, basically 40th and El Cajon.
Yeah, there is a development team that has been selected a few years ago now to do something, and they were talking about a 10-story building on that corner. And I think the interest rates got in the way of that for the time being. And that is still in the works. The more that we advocate for it, the better, I think. At one time I was told it was going to be nothing but affordable housing. We need a mix of housing. We need all kinds of things here. That piece of El Cajon Boulevard, our Normal Heights piece, from 805 to 15, is a vast wasteland. There's nothing there now. And yet we are building housing density in places that people don't want them. We're putting it back in the neighborhoods when we have that land right there. There's real estate economics that get in the way of that. There are people that have owned that property, some of them for a long time, and their property taxes are nothing. And it's a retirement program for them. And that's legal, and there's nothing wrong with that, except that we envision and did back around, God, I think the turn of the century now, that's a long time ago. Did some schematics of what could happen that were expanded into 2 blocks. We had a village designed, we had hundreds of units in it, and we could more or less always hear in Normal Heights, got that block loose from me to El Cajon. He said, you want to build it out, you're not gonna get any resistance from here. There are human beings that live in some of those houses in those blocks. You may think a little different from that, and I would appreciate that. But, as time goes by, there are opportunities to continue the community build. And I would just hope to see it in places like that, especially that corner, and not in the middle of a block of residential houses somewhere.
Thanks, Gary, thanks for that.
Thanks. All right, anybody from the community association?
Yeah. We can, yeah, I'm wearing the shirt, even though that's kind of treasonous here, but, we have a, sorry, let me look at the dates. Next week, there's a mixer happening on the, shoot, Taylor, come back to me.
All right. Anybody from Normal Heights Urban Arts?
You're not here, but I wanted to give a brief report.
Okay.
Last weekend, I'm sorry. Yeah, about a week ago, Monday and Tuesday of the previous week, the art group installed the backing to the butterfly mural on the building. They have to drill the hole, put the backing in, and then it's removed. And Kim Emerson finished the first out of 11 panels. I think she's working on the second one now. So they're a couple months away from installing. And, you know, they spent $2,000 on the engineering and the drilling of the holes and stuff. So the project's proceeding.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Second.
Anybody want to talk from the Community Recreation Advisory Group?
Yes.
Nancy?
We had our meeting and we did, talk about the fencing, to where the baseball field is. They did the fencing. It looks really, really nice. It's not mowed anymore. And they were working on the lighting and getting somebody out to do the netting. So they will hopefully keep the balls from going over into the people's neighborhoods and breaking windows of cars. They need more members for their meetings. So we can go over different things about parks, you know, the dog park and things. There's a lot of projects coming up that we want to get the funding for. So we need people in there to promote it. Also, we talked about the homeless camp at Adams Avenue Park. There's a lady there that has 2 cats, and she ties them up to the tree there. There's a tree there, and there are these long lines, and you have to be really careful that you don't trip on these lines that she has there. And there's several people there when we were leaving the meeting that were strolled out on the walkway, sleeping, so you kind of had to go around them to get through. And they had a problem with her taking the hose and hooking up to the rec center and dragging it across and running the trees over there at the Millies. And the MTS were kind of upset about it because, you know, they're having that there. So
she's also dug trenches in the park around the trees. They're trip hazards. They're like 2-foot wells. Park and Rec can't get in there and clean anything up till they leave. The cops got them out there for a couple of days. They came back. The lady has only been there for a year. There's another guy who's been there for 3 years, Kevin, who pioneered the the trick of sleeping in the alcove. They've been doing narcotics in the park at night. So the cops, they got them out and then they come back and I just saw the no camping signs posted at Ward Canyon. I haven't seen any posted at 35th and Adams.
There's one on 35th, but it's, I would say it's pretty hidden. So I'm not sure how useful
Okay.
the placement.
Well, the one at Ward Canyon, they posted it on the lamppost. And it's not a traffic sign. We have a deal with Streets Division. We don't have traffic signs posted on our antique poles. We sing separate poles. But it's also it's not a traffic sign though. It should be in the park and facing outside, but not on the street when you're driving by.
That's exactly where it is, yeah.
Yeah, oh, is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's down at Ward Canyon.
Oh, no, there's another one on 35th as you're driving right past the baseball field.
I got it.
There's also one at Ward Canyon where the mock building is. Not in front, but next to where the trash can used to be in there. And on the wall there is a no camping sign there. I saw there on, the other day.
Well, I know District 9's been in the loop with Park and Rec. Environmental Services came out and cleaned out Park, threw everything away, and then they all came back. So we reached out to the mayor's office and they're aware of what's going on. For the street fair, we can't have homeless junkie thieves in the middle of our footprint. They steal, they do drugs, it's just a security risk. So that's our concern for the weekend. And I think, we try to make the mayor's office aware of the situation here. Some of the activity downtown has definitely pushed people out. They cleared a lot of area downtown, it's pushed people out from downtown. They're in the riverbanks, and we've noticed a bunch of people up here. There's a crazy lady that was totally nude this weekend in the Masonic Lodge, and then she was arrested the next day in Ward Canyon. So, yeah, we're seeing an increase of people coming up here, but there's a lot of unhoused folks in the neighborhood, and that you don't notice and they don't make a nuisance of themselves, but the ones that, we've been decrying to the city that there's thousands of residents that cannot use the Adams and 35th Park because the tables are taken up by 2 people for years now, and it's really unfair. So I know the city's working on it, and we shall see.
I know that Kim did a Get It Done app. And then I did one, and then they moved away, and then Kim wrote me another email and said it was back there again, that he was back. And so I did another one today, another Get It Done app for today. I posted it.
Yeah, the park smells like pee. They're obviously within 2 blocks of a school, and they're in a park, which are both no-nos for the new ordinance. And there was a summer camp they had to cancel because they were right next to the fence and they didn't think it was good for the kids. So it's really ludicrous that a couple drug-induced people out of their mind have taken the park away from the neighborhood.
Because they take the benches, they are laying on the benches, they got all their stuff there, and they're on the picnic tables, they're taking over the picnic table there.
Yeah.
The lady's got that whole corner there. And so nobody can really use that, and my husband, he just had a knee replacement. It's hard for him to get around, and we had to walk clear around to get through the park.
I'm waiting on a response from our homelessness strategies and solutions department to see if any outreach has been done at all, or if it's just been PD doing abatement.
You know where Orange Avenue is?
Where what is?
What street?
Orange and, it's right across the street from the park. It's a bridge there, Orange and 40th and Central.
Yes.
I posted that twice because their litter was everywhere. They got rid of them and they're back again.
That's another one.
They're tied to the tarp again.
Yeah.
So we want to take our scooters through there. We can't take them, the mobility scooters. We can't go through there.
the biggest issue I think that is the city has allowed people to camp in the parks for so long. How are they gonna know the rules have really changed? So that's, you're up against, you know, they're like, well, why should we leave? We've been here for 3 years.
Great, thank you, Nancy. Normal Heights for Smart Growth. Paul's not here. I don't see any of them online. So moving on. Joint Mid-City
Can I
Committee.
get a quick update about that? That's okay, the Normal Heights Community Association. So we're having our traditional mixer that we have from 6 to 8 on Wednesday, September 20th, so in 2 weeks. And it will be at the AC Lounge over on 30th Street. So yeah, I think I've seen a lot of you all there, so you're always welcome to stop by. You know the deal. Thanks.
Thank you. So anything from the Joint Mid-City Communities Plan Update Committee?
Oh, so yes, the next meeting for that is going to be on El Cajon at the Business Improvement Association on the, actually next week, on Wednesday the 13th at 6:30.
Okay.
And yeah, it sounds like more of an update committee, no decisions are being made.
Okay, thanks. Historical property review. I don't think Dan's here. Anybody for Parks and Trail Development? Nominating committee, Greg?
Yeah, I thought about it and haven't executed on it. My first plan is to send an email to everybody on our list that has expressed interest or attended a meeting, I believe. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how Paul created the list, and see what kind of response we get and follow up with people that indicate they're interested, but that has not been executed yet. I plan on getting that done within the next week, so.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, yeah.
All right, thanks.
The calling part will be.
All right, utilities undergrounding.
The city pretty much said that they won't have an update until the fall, and so now we're moving into fall, so it'll be next season. So hopefully by next month we'll have an update. But yeah, there was nothing expected, at least until now.
Okay, great, thanks. Caltrans grant submission, let's see, Paul. Nobody else knows anything about that, right? Okay. DEI program.
We have, that's the diversity and inclusion. We haven't made any posts since the first one, but willing to do more if you guys send us more messages, or we can post the same one again.
Okay, great, thanks.
Looking for direction.
Tree replacements?
No.
Nope.
Updates,
No updates? Okay, we're up to me, traffic issue task force. I have an update.
Been here the whole time for this.
Yes, I won't take up too much time. I could talk about this for a long time, actually. I just have to find where my notes are. I hope I brought them. Oh, I did. So I submitted a public records request for the unfunded needs list for the transportation department for Normal Heights specifically, but they weren't able to get me that, but they were able to get me the transportation department's citywide unfunded needs list. So I was able to go through that and pull out everything that's within Normal Heights that's on that list, which, as you can imagine, is huge. The good news is the vast majority of those things in our neighborhood on the unfunded needs list are new streetlights. Over 100 new streetlights throughout the neighborhood. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, those will not be funded until undergrounding, and they would be funded with maintenance assessment districts.
I would need to get back to you on that specifically.
I think it depends, the funding of it depends on if it's like a Cobra light for safety versus the acorn light for decoration. That's kind of at least the differentiation with the assessment districts. But I think in terms of the action, that's, for instance, that was what I understood, was they were waiting for undergrounding to kind of like, combo, do both at once.
Okay. So there's over 100 of them, and I've mapped them out. I didn't put up a projection tonight. I didn't want to take up too much time with this, but we can do that at another meeting. We can put it on the agenda and look at it all. Streetlight upgrades, there's 30 of them in our neighborhood, to turn existing streetlights and upgrade them somehow. I'm not sure how. The ones that I've looked at based on the locations, they're mostly the streetlights that are the Cobras that are attached to telephone poles. So there's probably something to make them better. In terms of the things that I was most interested in were traffic calming type things. There were 3 traffic calming, well, actually 4, but 2 of them were for the same location. 3 traffic calming locations, all of them on Adams Avenue. The one Ben mentioned, West Mountain View and Adams Avenue, which would be like the flashing, a painted crosswalk across Adams Avenue. I was wrong about that last month. And it would have the side flashings like we have at East Mountain View and Adams. And I think there's one at Holly and one at 34th already as well.
There's 5 on Adams. There's one in Kensington at Marlboro, no, at Kensington Drive. And East Mountain View, Holly, 33rd. How many is that? 4, I think.
Yeah. But there's one that's on the list for West Mountain View that's currently unfunded. There's another one on the list, on the unfunded list for Adams and 36th, crossing Adams and 36th Street. And the information I was able to get on that, which isn't much, but the description is crossing treatment CD with RRFB, which is the little flashing lights, and other calming devices. So it's there on the list. So it's something there's a number, it has a number. And also for Adams and 34th, they've identified that it qualifies for a hawk, which I think is the overhead. Instead of the side flashings, you would have an overhead hanging lights, kind of like in Mission Valley over the river between the Best Buy and the Food for Less. There's one there where the trail goes across the river. But so apparently that's on the list as well. And there's also on the list a new traffic signal for 32nd and Madison. And I could not get any other information on that other than it looked like somebody sent an email to the city requesting one in 2019, and they got a reply within 2 days saying that the intersection qualifies. And it's on the
freeway entrance.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That is a tough.
Yeah. And the only other things were traffic signal modifications at 35th and Adams and 35th and El Cajon Boulevard. The one for 35th and El Cajon Boulevard specifically says audible pedestrian signals. The one for 35th and Adams doesn't have any other additional information.
City Crews just installed at 30th and Adams, new, I don't know what they are, but additional crossing something. I mean, they've been out there for weeks and there's new things mounted on the poles for crossing.
So hopefully we'll get that. And then the only other things on the unfunded needs list in our neighborhood were 4 curb ramps. And 3 of these I think have already been done. One was for Adams and Bancroft on the east and west sides on the north. And I'm pretty sure they put in curb ramps when they put in the Ska Bar building. There's curb ramps there with handrails.
Aluminum guide rails.
Yeah.
There's 2 there, yeah.
And then the other ones are like far up in the northern end of the neighborhood that, where I rarely venture. So other folks would be more aware if there are curb ramps then. I think Arthur and 34th, Arthur and Mansfield, and then Bancroft in an alley that is a mid-block alley on the 4800 block. So that's what I found out in the last 2 months.
Is anything about Ward Canyon on the unfunded list?
For the transportation department?
Oh, transportation,
This is purely transportation department. If you request this, the Republic Records Act request, by the way. They send you what is essentially a printout converted to PDF of a spreadsheet, and it's a pretty wide spreadsheet. So it prints out, and I think it was either 3 or 4 pages, so then you have to like match the pages, but it wasn't that hard. It's interesting. So maybe next month I'll bring in the maps and we can look at them. Because these are things that have been identified that qualify. So for the budget process, these are things that we can say, we know these qualify, let's get them funded and let's get them done.
Yeah, and like you said, there's hundreds of streetlights that are proposed to be installed. Realistically, those obviously can't all be installed, so it's really you all prioritizing what you want to see funded of like the list on of the transportation list. What is the most important to you that you would want to see funded?
A quick question on the streetlights and the number surprises me. I know that the existing streetlights that are attached to utility poles along where they're going to be undergrounding, the utility poles are going to go away. So I suspect some of those hundreds are replacement.
For the 100, they are brand new streetlights.
Oh, okay.
And most of them are located mid-block on the north-south streets. So like, you know, between Monroe and Madison, there are very few streetlights between Monroe and Madison. And between Meade and Monroe, there are very few streetlights.
That's how I walk here.
Yeah,
Have there been inquiries about lighting for pedestrians at night? Some of us don't have cars and don't want cars, and it's like tonight I'll be at home before it's really dark, which is good because I put up my flashlight. But the first time I walked somewhere at night was from the Methodist church home, and I was shocked at how little I could see once I got past the street, like, and it got worse. I was like, this is a wreck. And and so I see what the Cobra light, I see the lights that are in that area between the sidewalk and the street. They're arching way over the street. And there's only, some of them don't even have one in the middle of a block. It's only, but they all are aimed out at the street. So I'm like, oh,
that is what they're designed for, is the light to the
it's scary.
street.
So, and then what you do about that, if lights go underground, there should be something so that people can see it.
Helen, are you able to map those lights?
yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, I put them on a map, in a Google map. I can share it with you if you want. Yeah. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly. I remember the first time I walked from Oklahoma Boulevard and 33rd Street when I got off the bus one night, up 33rd Street, and I realized there are no streetlights at all.
Yeah.
And, it is pitch black. Yeah. And, just half a block off of Oklahoma Boulevard, there are no lights at all.
Well, having just come out of church, I prayed all the way home. I think it was the first year that I was here for Ash Wednesday, I think is what it was, and I was like, oh, no.
Can I ask a question? So that it is a street light, so it has no, what's the intention behind it? Just to provide.
Cobra lights are to light they're based all over the intersection there for intersection safety. That's how, they're not designed to light the sidewalk.
No, they're not. There's some, like,
a lot of street engineering is designed for cars. I mean, it's just like,
no one really thinks about
decades of that.
I lived before I came to California. I lived where they were where they were actually lighting bulbs. There,
Francis?
So just if I could go back to the traffic calming plans. So it seems as though there's no talk whatsoever of enhanced enforcement. That's just not even a possibility.
Did you say that a little louder?
I'm asking about whether as part of the traffic calming neighborhood situation. One of the things in the beginning that was mentioned was the possibility of increased enforcement, like maybe a few police cars from time to time, like actually give somebody a ticket. But I'm not hearing anything about that at all, so I guess that's not part of the plan.
Well, that's not gonna be in the unfunded needs list.
Okay.
But Ben, did you wanna talk about the
I
police
mean, is there
department?
some way we could?
I think, right, the tough thing about that right now is just the number of vacancies that PD currently has, so they're already stretched thin. I think ideally that would be one solution, is offering more patrolling, but currently that's not where we're at.
How are they doing that? Because that's been the situation for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So is there any headway being made on hiring officers?
I believe there has been, with more folks getting hired, also more folks are choosing retirement as well. So I can get a more robust update for you all on how that's going. Honestly, I'm also curious about that because that is something we're continuously told as well. So I am also interested in finding out about that.
Yeah, I'd love to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go on this flight.
Thank you. Have a good night, be safe. Right, so does anybody have anything else?
Move to adjourn.
I second. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.